Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Life Clarifications with Natasha. And I am a medium, intuitive personal awareness coach, and I love to support people through things. And today I have this wonderful guest on, Brian, who, I have found him magically come into my life exactly when I was meant to grow and change. And he doesn't think he was this life altering experience for me, but he was. And those magical moments of me being vulnerable and doing the navigation that I did in his care and Marcel's care, because he has a partner in crime, that we all kind of have these magical moments where things just kind of come together. And he just had one of these magical moments that he just shared with me about his coming togethers. And believing in magic, believing in who we are, believing what we're doing, that is the creation of what life is about. So Brian, can you introduce yourself to these wonderful people that are going to be watching and or in the future going to be watching?
Okay, well, I'd love to. Thank you so much, Natasha. And again, it's wonderful to see you again. I absolutely adore you. And yeah, things all kind of came together and aligned almost 3 years ago now, maybe even a little bit longer, when we were teaching the LAF Tech humor, find or discover your mix humor-based workshop series. And this young lady came wandering in, this little scamp, and you've just been a joy ever since. So again, for the sake of your listening and watching audience, my name is Brian Trendler, and I run 3 companies because I don't know how to sleep or relax. That first one is LAF Tech. It stands for Learn About Funny Techniques. We're actually engagement coaches. We teach people to become better speakers using humor, teaching them how to be an uptime on video versus slow and boring. And I also own a company called Professional Networking Association Northwest, or PNA Northwest for short. It is a close category networking group. It's of the like model where businesses meet once a week, locations throughout the Pacific Northwest, to share about their businesses, earn referrals over time, give presentations, and support each other in a very unique way that isn't done in any other like-minded business networking environment. That was a mouthful. And then the third company is the graphic design company, We Fix Ugly Design, that I've had for almost 30 years now. So
Wow.
I get around a little.
Yeah, you do. And that's why I wanted to have you on, is because when I first met you, you just presented yourself as this wonderful being. And I'm going to use that as a capital BEING, all capitals.
That on a shirt.
Yes,
A wonderful
because
being.
because of the fact that you didn't care about the shit bit whatever that person had.
Oh, okay.
You just said welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome. And how many people in their world do that for people in their lives? Welcome. And I know for me that when you came into my life, that I was just in the moments of kind of like cracking my egg open.
Yeah.
And just saying, here I am. Yeah. And you were part of that process, because I know I went to Toastmasters, and if people don't know what Toastmasters is, it's a kind of a regional, I mean, it's worldwide actually, isn't it?
It's an international organization for public speaking.
Mm-hmm. And I did do that. Mm-hmm. And people were always amazed how I could walk up and without any script speak for 15 minutes. Yeah. Yeah. And be fine. And yet they couldn't understand how I didn't have notes, because with my dyslexia, if I start reading, I screw myself up.
Yeah.
And so, but then what I found with Toastmasters was it was like really in a box that just made you do X, Y, Z, even though it was great because it said, okay, how many times do you say and? How many times do you say nah? How many times do you say and those things really help. Now I'm double checking myself with the and thing, because I know I do and a lot, because my run-on sentences are really good.
Sure.
So with that though, that's one thing that the world brought to me. And I love how synchronicity comes in, because we had a co-person, somebody who was in my Toastmasters who knew you, going to LAF Tech, and his name just went out of my freaking head.
Kyle Hall? Kyle Hall?
No, he
Okay.
was up here in Cedar Woolley. You came up to the bank and did a
Oh,
little snippet at
Steve Beaumont.
Toastmasters.
Steve Beaumont or Kyle? Was it one of those? Well, I mean, I guess it's not important, but
That's not important.
either way.
Just want to honor him. So with that he brought you up, and I went, oh, this is what I've been asking for.
Yeah.
Something to expand my
Right.
and for me, doing intuitive mediumship, a lot
Yeah.
of times I'm doing a session through grief, doing a session through, sorrows, shame, and that kind of thing. And it is hard to be funny
Yeah.
in a very serious moment.
Yeah.
Yet at the same time, you taught me about voice moments
Yeah.
and the be able to do the yes and the one thing that I really got well was is when you guys threw curveballs at us.
Curveballs. I was just gonna say you loved slash hated curveball. But you were brilliant because you took it on like, well, more I was gonna say, like an all-star, person up to bat, but you were more like an angry hobbit because you were like, "Oh, I gotta get this right." And you struggled at first, but you persevered on such an epic level. I mean, Marcel, my business partner, and I often refer to our experiences with you as a student and then soon after as a friend, because you to us were a chrysalis. Like
Oh,
you showed up this tight little woven hard shelled case of a woman. And I only say hobbit because everyone's small to me. I'm 6'3". But you are
well,
so
and
much.
I was so shy. I mean,
Yeah.
you were the one that my
you
shyness was my chrysalis or my.
You busted out of it though. I mean, watching you grow during those sessions was just a joy. And occasionally it was more like a type of thing. Other times it was like the flap flap happy butterfly. So it was great to see you embrace our 6 methods of humor that we teach from the curriculum that we developed. But I mean, you absorbed this stuff. And I always saw it. I got to see it happen, and then I still see it happening now, which just tickles me to knowing.
Well, thank you, because that's one thing that every time I learn something, it just gets absorbed and then I expand on. So can you expand? Because I think this is the thing that LAF Tech really
Yeah,
brought out in me was is that you
sure.
had these core things that you work on.
Yes.
And one was, what was it?
It
Humor. The other thing,
it starts with scene. So
yes.
the actual 6 methods of humor are scene, and then sound, and then
Mhm.
story, and then sequence, and then sensation, and then silly.
Yes.
And all of those techniques happen every day. We're all doing it every day, but it's never been broken down on the level that we take it when realistically, it's not difficult curriculum. A little
It's
secret.
not.
When we did this stuff with the Boys and Girls Club, all I did is slap their logo on it and change a few words around that kind of sounded like a "Hey, boys and girls" type of tone versus "Hello, adults, you're in the room to learn about the 6 methods." It's the same stuff for any
Mhm.
age group that we teach, whether it's 6 years old or 96 years old. But it's like I said, it's never been disseminated down into this easy to digest method where the shy people showing up in their little, hell-bent cocoons are suddenly the first people to raise their hands by the end of the first class. And again,
Mhm.
that was always just so much fun to see you and others just really just get beyond those obstacles so quickly, right?
Yes. And that's one thing that I've been grateful for is that you took, and I could see that with other people that were in our class.
Yeah.
You guys did an observation, no judgments, just
Mhm.
observation. Okay,
Yeah.
this person's a little bit too bold. This person's a little shy. This person is hilarious, but needs to find the other parts of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the one thing that really surprised me with just the grace
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
that you had. And I can say that anybody who's local, and I think you guys do this on virtual.
Have Zoom will travel. Yeah, I mean, we didn't have to pivot that much during this nightmare because we were already reaching people across the country. So yeah, it can
Mhm.
be anywhere.
And that's the thing that I feel like, even if you want to talk to your coworkers,
Hmm.
even if you want to talk to a supervisor, even if you want to talk to customers, it
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
yeah,
You support those scenarios.
yeah. Well, in general, we teach people how to adult better. Because
I would say yes.
adulting is hard enough, and we laugh at everything because if you're not laughing, enjoying yourself, what's the point, right? But we take that to the serious degree of it is hard work, and I know you've heard this anecdote before from probably me, if not Marcel, but when people contact us and they say, well, I'm a manager of company XYZ and my sales team, they suck and rah, 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 rah. Well, we end up not working with the sales team. We end up working with the management because they're the ones leading with deprecation and not inspiring and not understanding how to make
Mhm.
a death by PowerPoint, weekly conference with their teams not be a horrible experience. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, I mean, it's the fact that we flip the table so often to me is just quite marvelous because people never see it coming until they realize, oh my God, I'm the problem, and that happens, and that's okay because, like you said, we accept everybody. Period, with their faults, with their perfections, with what they think is their perfections and faults, and we realize that with Marcel being nicknamed as Hallmark, she takes that job very seriously.
I know.
And,
I
and,
love Marcel.
and
I've been actually trying to get her on the show, but she
yeah,
keeps dodging and
oh,
diving.
she's hard to land. But with her being Hallmark and me being dubbed the blunt edge sword, we're kind of each other's yin to our yangs because, like you
Mhm.
said, it creates an incredibly supportive environment, whether it's stuck in the 16:9 frame that we all exist in right now, or on site at our new location in Mill Creek, or prior to when
Mhm.
the atmosphere we create, whether it's at an office or in our own location, it's supportive and it's positive, even if there's tears and breakthroughs and crazy stuff that just comes out of left field.
Well,
We'll
I know for me, I had several sets of tears.
You had a
Sometimes
few.
when it was like, because that's the thing that people forget, is
Yeah,
that when we go through struggle, actually that moment of emotion is part of the breakthrough.
absolutely.
And people don't really want to go there because that's called vulnerability. And I can say vulnerability is our greatest strength.
Yeah,
But people just have a hard time with that. Oh, I don't want to go there. But
yeah,
going there is what makes us go, I'm me.
yeah, exactly. People find themselves when they're lost.
Ain't that, I love that. People find
Yeah,
themselves when they're lost.
yeah,
I love that.
yeah.
It's great. It's kind of like that Alone show. Do you ever watch the show Alone? It's on
Uh,
cable, and
no,
it's where people go off and they have to spend time alone,
sounds horrible.
and they can spend months doing it. And
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of times they, like, one time it was in Siberia, another time it was it was in Vancouver Island, where it's the Bear Island, where it's Grizzly Island. No, it's not Grizzly Island. It's one of the islands that has primarily the grizzlies on it. And these people, I mean, they're people who can go hunting, fishing,
Okay.
they're survivalists. But being a survivalist doesn't mean that you know how to hunt and that kind of thing. It's that you can spend time with this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, all the voices in my head would drive me nutso. Just imagine. And I mean, obviously, they're not alone because there's a crew of 165 people and the insurance agent filming them during this entire alone time, right?
Yes, exactly. Yet a lot of times they have, the crew is not supposed to be involved. And so a lot of times they have their self cameras
Oh,
that they post, and then they have kind of their other crew that they navigate with, but there is no communication. It's basically you're alone. And it's interesting, the
if
people that are like gung ho, they can make chairs, they can do all this stuff, they last that much time.
I can make a chair, I'm a survivalist.
Yeah. Well, it's
If I was
self-comfort. They have all the self-comforts,
Yeah.
but they don't have the self-comfort.
Well, if I was a bear, I would definitely eat that person who was a who was on the island. I would hunt that sucker down in a heartbeat. Um,
Yeah, I bet. I it's just one of those things that life
yeah,
goes on, and that's where we're going to. So with that
yeah.
you're in this moment where when I met you know, and you can share what you want and share not what you want. This is your choice.
Okay.
But you have gone from the beginning of your world where you're a young kid to doing this. What led you to this?
Oh,
This moment where I mean, you say that you were doing, and I know you're pretty techie. I mean, I got that. I mean, the way that you've managed doing things and that kind of thing, and I'm going to probably end up having you help me with a little bit with my business. That as we go forward and manage our life, that there's these little to do's that we do. Like, how did you meet Marcel?
well, ironically, well, okay, so I'll answer that part or that question in just a minute because um, to initially answer your question, I always have been kind of an overachiever, not a notoriety, like not on a notoriety level, but I've always been in jobs where it was odd that I ended up in it. I mean, I went to Cornish College of the Arts in
Hmm.
Seattle. It was still up on Capitol Hill. And that basically meant that I lived at another college because of a dorm room type of relationship, and was going there for fine arts and realized I wanted to actually earn a living. So then I converted to graphic design. And then afterwards I did what everyone else did with a 4-year bachelor of fine arts in design and illustration, is I worked at a bagel shop for 6 months. I mean, and then from there I was a Computer City salesperson selling Windows 95 when it first came out, and that got me into the tech world, where I then went to sell millions of dollars worth of tech equipment to places like Las Vegas, uh,
Hmm.
Cisco related technological type jobs, marketing director positions, AT&T when the sky was going to fall down, all of those types of things. I was at Boeing for a short stint, Microsoft, but I was never, and again, jokes aside, I don't have the mental capacity to take tests. I have, learning issues and concerns with all of that. So I'm horrible at tests. I can watch a video, and by the time I get down to doing it myself, I forgot what I've watched. So like
I get that.
I have issues, right? So I wasn't able to become this Microsoft certified person or whatever, but I was always on the outskirts of having the real job. And then finally, again, when was it? Roughly 2010 or so, I said, I'm done being hireable. I have
Oh.
to go off on my own. I said, I am not a hireable person from the corporate America perspective. And
Hmm.
roughly that time frame is when I still had a day job to support my design habit. I'd go work 8 hours or 8 to 10 hours at the tech job, and then come home and run my business from the design
Hmm.
perspective. And then all that changed, and I started doing just that. And then I joined a networking organization, which introduced me to the fact that there are networking organizations for businesses. You don't know those things exist until you need it.
Yeah,
And
exactly. And even when you do need it, it's hard to find them sometimes.
exactly. So I didn't know what I didn't know, which is a horrible thing to realize. And
But isn't
and
that life?
well, yeah, and one of my local Woodinville print shops said, "Hey, you're a graphic designer. Why don't you come with me to this networking group?" And I'm like, "Well, what's that?" And that set me spinning in the direction of having an extension of a sales force, which I didn't have to begin with because it was just me. But then I had these, like, 15, 20 people in the room that were giving me referral opportunities, and allowed me to successfully skirt away from day jobs to having the full-time design. And
Hmm.
then again, long story short, 6 years ago, I met Marcel at Toastmasters. I was giving a humor-based presentation at the fall conference. She was the first person to demonstrate one of the examples I wanted people to do. And we're
Of course,
inside.
I'm going to say that does not surprise me.
Yeah, yeah.
She's that kind of person.
And with your Toastmasters background, you can understand the mentality of the average Toastmaster, which is
Uh-huh.
Because a lot of them, like the average age at that point was, I think, 162. So,
Yes, I would
there were
agree.
tired people there that were lifers. And I realized very quickly that after an almost 20-year career in Toastmasters as a member, contributing, giving, people didn't even know what I did for a living. It just wasn't,
Mhm.
or it wasn't set up, and still isn't, to get to know the people as people first and members second. And it
Yes.
irked me. So Marcel and I met. Within a couple weeks, we were sharing the downtown office location in Bothell, Washington. And soon after, LAF Tech was birthed from that, because her clients from her social media management company were boring as heck. I don't know if I can swear,
Oh
but
man.
I'll just say heck. And they also needed design. So I needed someone to help my clients with social media and video, and all of that kind of came together in that level of synchronicity. And then we realized that we were both funny, and we both come from a different vein of humor. I used it as a defensive mechanism as a child, because I was bullied and teased and picked on and everything else. And I used it through my career to, again, kind of like, I'm not smart enough to get certified at Microsoft, but I can charge you $1 million for licensing, whatever. Just because
Yeah,
I did it on an
exactly.
Excel spreadsheet. And, LAF Tech came from that. And then after the networking experiences that have really carried my design business since, again, roughly 2010, I joined the other organization, and now that one is mine. So that Professional Networking Association
Mhm.
Northwest is now my company, and we've got 9 chapters through the Pacific Northwest, and it's growing. So
Congratulations. That
it's,
does not surprise me about you. That really does not surprise me about you because of
oh,
the fact that you are about adding on.
oh yeah,
You
that
know,
should be on a shirt too. I'm an add-on.
you're an add-on. So it's like you just, it's like you see opportunities.
Yeah,
And I wouldn't call you an opportunist.
up.
No, what is that? What is that? Somebody who goes and yeah, that but at the same time though, there is that, okay, this isn't feeling quite right. How can I shift it?
I've often referred to it simply as diversification.
Mhm.
Because when my graphic design business hit lulls, I started doing promotional products. That was 15 years ago. Promotional products are incredibly profitable if you know what you're doing. But then that slowed down. So then I started doing web design as part of the offering, the need to diversify within the structure of We Fix Ugly Design. Oh, and by the way, the company's actually called Trend Designs, but no one knew what the heck that was.
Yeah.
Oh, Brian Trendler. Oh, Trend Designs. Your company sounds like your business, huh? I got that from millions of people. And finally, I was like, oh, God, fine. And we started marketing as We Fix Ugly Design. And the same thing with LAF Tech, the same thing with P&A. Anytime there's lulls in the market, I've been able to, with some level of success. I mean, I still live check to check half the time because, hello, the world we live in. But
And when you're a self-employed person,
boy, you're
it does, it's not a straight line.
it's really not. It's an ugly squiggly. Uh,
Yeah, it's called the
yeah, it's called the heart attack waiting to happen. But no, it's just, at the same time, I wouldn't change a thing, Natasha, because I don't have to ask someone permission to go use the restroom, or to take a day off, or to take a week off. I don't, but I should. And it's, there's always nowhere to go but up, because it's entirely up to you. And that's what's always energized me, because I'm the one providing for my kids, period.
Mhm.
No one else. And I'm the one providing for myself and my level of sanity, which of course could be questioned on a regular basis. But it's allowed me to expand and become an MC and become an auctioneer, and do all of those things as well under the LAF Tech moniker, because that's what people need and want. So
Mhm.
I've done my best to give it to them.
Well, congratulations, by
Thank
the
you.
way, because that's that kind of perseverance that's gonna get you through the shits of life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the thing that people say about me. It's like, oh, there's a problem. Okay. Now what am I going to do about it? It doesn't take me very long to get back up and going again. And there's sometimes where I say, I do not like what just happened, but where are you going to take me? What am I going to do next? And
Well,
those kinds of things help us move through life. And I can see that's been your story.
Thank you. You're exceptionally good at identifying those obstacles though, which is something I think many people lack. I do as well. I mean, I'm quite often, I have the blinders up, and
Mm-hmm.
I like to think I see the big picture, but I don't often, because I just know in my world it's very black and white. I need to get over there. Okay, I'm going to get over there. And if
Mm-hmm.
you're in my way, that could be an issue, right? And I'm not
Yes.
violent or something, but I mean, I will get over there no matter what it takes. And occasionally that's good or bad. And I think that's just because I've struggled throughout my life with the ups and downs emotionally, all the voices in my head that have
Mm-hmm.
always said that you can't do it, you can't do it. And I'm like, well, I mean, no one else is going to help me do it, so I got to do it myself.
I know, and that's that's the thing that people always say. Do you ever meditate? And I go, no, my brain won't let me. My
Yeah.
brain won't let me. It's just so busy. Now, the thing though that I notice is that when I do have those negative voices going off in my head,
Yeah.
I do something to shift it. It's
Oh,
almost like that ticker tape going across the bottom of the page, going, "You can't do it. You can't do it. You can't do it." I go, Stop.
yeah.
I can do it. 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 Whatever that statement is, I shift it. You
Yeah.
know, and I've not had the word "I'm stupid" in my vocabulary because my dad,
Yeah.
my I had a terrific dad, actually parents, but both my mom and dad were great. But my dad, as soon as he started hearing me say I'm stupid, he says, "Stop."
Good for him.
And a lot of parents don't do that.
Yeah.
They call their kids stupid, and so with that, there's those stories that start going off in our heads,
Yeah.
and it's like it's an uphill climb to get out of it. So good
Yeah.
job.
I've caught myself at times with my, let me think, 9 and now 11-year-old. That's
I
amazing.
know.
Um,
She just had a birthday, didn't she? We're
yeah, yeah,
being friends on Facebook. I kind of get caught up on you.
yeah. Both just did in the last 3 months, and it's remarkable. And they're just the best kids, and I don't know how their mother and I managed it, to get them to the point where they're just such sweet souls. Again, thank God we're doing something right.
Hmm.
And even though, on the days I have them, they can do some of the most hilarious things, but also, like we were just talking about, they will do some things that are so absolutely stupid. And it's the hardest thing to not lash out, but not point out that, oh, that was dumb. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just spilling the milk on the dining room table and just staring at it. And I'm like, we could go get some Scott towels, maybe, Fiona. And it's like that's what she needs. And that sarcastic comedic person wants to say, like, oh, that like you're really stupid, to like let it soak into the thing while you could be
Yeah.
getting it. But I just can't do that because
Thank you.
I know
Thank
what
you.
that's
Thank
like.
you.
I know how it feels. Now there have been times where I've said, well, that might have been a little stupid, but that's deflecting. That's not me saying you're stupid. It's saying the situation was kind of
A
stupid.
little
But
stupid, and that can
overall,
be a tricky line.
I
And that's
know
one thing that
I'm not
I've
perfect.
told. Yeah, I know we're not. I can tell you that I can count many scenarios on
You are.
in my own world with my kids, because I had one that didn't have depression and one that really had depression. And so when you're working with two different personalities, an optimist and a pessimist, you kind of don't do,
Yeah,
because one is one and one is the other. It doesn't matter, and it's
go
an
half full
interesting
or half
dance.
glass. The glass is
Yeah,
full
but
enough.
like we have a new I do reset I do uh paraeducating at a local school,
Yeah,
and part of that is doing campus safety, and we have a new person who's on the playground, and I'm like going, "Did you have a conversation with them?" "No." "Well, you might want to start having a conversation, because you just don't know what they don't know."
sure.
you know
Yeah,
Many people, and when the brain is growing, there's blank spots.
months worth of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like I've always said that about the age of about maybe 11, 12, 13, the brain gets taken out of the mind, out of the body.
Yeah.
It gets put in a closet somewhere, which now it's under bowling balls and coats and old shoes and baseball bats and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we move. So the brain stays in that closet.
Yep.
About 20 something, they go back and they go, I gotta look for something. What do I need? Oh, my brain! I need to look for my brain.
You realize how screwed I am, right? Because again, 11-year-old and 9-year-old. I'm 49. When they start losing their brains, I'm going to be like working my way into Depends undergarments at that point. I mean, this is not going to be fun at all. But oh well.
You know, it's all in the greater picture, and you're gonna do fine. And life is about growing and changing and managing it and that kind of thing. It's just it's never ending.
Yeah,
it's never ending. And I want to congratulate you because many of us who've gone through this COVID situation found themselves going backwards, getting sucked into this funnel of negativity.
Yeah.
And there's many of us, me included, the month that we closed down was the month I went on the radio for the first time. So I knew for me that life was showing me this wasn't about closing down. This was about opportunity. And what was I going to do about it? So with that I'm congratulating you because you saw opportunity in the midst of something that was pretty overwhelming.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And I don't know if congratulations are in order, but you're right in the sense that my Shut Up and Laugh podcast saved my bacon. Because like I joked with you prior to starting the show, I set up my podcast here in my home studio.
Yes.
And 2 weeks later, the pandemic hit. And I was like, well, screw that. You know, no one can come here and sit with me in this studio and be able to benefit ideally from getting the exposure I was trying to provide them. So I started recording the Zoom conversations / interviews, not only what we're doing here, but then I stripped off the audio for the podcast and then created the Zoomcast to get that podcast going in 2 mediums. And then honestly, with that networking group, P&A Northwest, this year, officially, I own the company. So I was able to cross that off my list, right? Get rid of the old, out with the old, in with the new, not referring to my old business partner, but he basically retired from the organization. And when I made the decision company-wide, just a month prior to Jay Inslee doing it all for us, I said, for 2021, we're going to go 100% virtual. And that was like setting fire to a very long fuse because we only had 4 networking chapters before the pandemic hit. We grew 5 more chapters in 90 days. Wow. I was processing like 3 or 4 applications a day, doubled the size of the organization of its members, and have 9 chapters now with 4 more coming in the next 60 to 90 days, again, spread out throughout the Pacific Northwest as far down as Olympia. Businesses that want to get together, follow the model that we have. And the whole point of that isn't to do this. It's to say the organization, the members, they needed each other. Such a joy, especially with the brand new chapters. These people have never seen each other in real life. They have no idea. Like, my God, Natasha, you have legs in real life.
I know. It's like nobody would know that I'm wearing flower leggings.
Yeah, I may not even be wearing pants, but but it doesn't matter because this is what we're stuck in. These people have exchanged just under $500,000 in between the 9 chapters in the last, a year. The equivalent of the calendar year so far. It'll be more soon because there's 3 months left in the year. And it's remarkable. But so many of them didn't use it to pass referrals. See, I'm finally getting to my point. They're getting to it, or they're attending weekly because they need to.
Yes.
They need to connect. They need to see 5
like-minded people coming 15, together.
Yeah, 20 other people that give a crap about each other, because that's what we push. at
Mhm.
P&A Northwest. It's people first and opportunities second. And no
Mhm.
one wants anyone coming to the group like, give me your business, give me your business, give me your business. No, it's how can I share things about me and my business so you're out there thinking about my business. You
Mhm.
hear about opportunities. Referrals are earned. We take that seriously. But most people just use the chapters as kind of a saving grace, at least during the first couple months of the pandemic, because we were just all so pent up, right?
Mhm.
And it was just so remarkable to watch all of these groups, 80 some odd people, because I get to hop
Wow.
in and out of all of them as
Uh-huh.
owner, and just guide them and see this atmosphere that the one original chapter in 2002 created that worked. And that model is what's been duplicated now. And it's just remarkable. They are the ones, like they're the heroes. They're the ones using, that need capes. I'm just a chucklehead that decided to grow the organization. So,
And that's the thing that I've always loved about you.
well, because I
You
look
take a compliment and you go, I'll appreciate it, but give it to someone else. Yeah, or you can have that compliment. No, I don't want that comment.
it's
You
not
always kind of brush
it's
them
not that I
aside.
don't like or want the compliments. It's just that someone somewhere in my life told me that an ego is a dirty four-letter word. And
Oh,
whether that's right or wrong, it's always
it's
stuck
wrong.
with
It
me.
is totally wrong. It is totally wrong. It is like it's hugely wrong. We all
Okay.
deserve egos. The thing about egos, though, is we need to teach them to sit back down again.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe mine is used to squatting or something because it's always kind of been like in the corner going, I like that. I really did, but don't tell anybody. So, I mean, thank
It,
you.
yeah, egos come out if we don't honor them. Like for me, when I'm talking to a kid on a playground who's like today, I had a kid that was so angry that he started going after another kid, and I had to put my body between him and him.
Wow.
Now, if I didn't have an ego, that ego wouldn't have come up and said, "Stop."
Yeah.
But then that ego had to sit back down again, and my gentle self came out.
Yeah.
So it's using our egos to a greater good. And sometimes when we have egos, we got to put them in the empowerment mode than the powerful
Sure.
mode.
Sure. I'm more like a silverback gorilla. Like I'm calm and peaceful and will help everyone else rise up around me. But if you F with anyone that I know and love,
Yes.
it comes out real quick.
Yeah.
Like,
I hear you. I
so,
hear you. I hear you. I just so am grateful for you. You've been an amazing person in my life, and every time that I go back to those moments that you just I can't say nothing but thank you for the opportunity that you and Marcella gave to me to become who I am. And that was amazing. I just remember the time that my mother of heart passed when I was down there, and you guys just accepted that I was going through this grief, that
yeah,
this moment can happen at any time. And then when I got the phone call, I drove all the way down there, which was
you
about an
did.
hour from my home.
Yeah.
I got the phone call pretty much once I arrived and said she passed. And I went, a baby's born. And you guys looked at me like she's crazy. And I went out the door.
Yeah, that was an interesting workshop, that particular one. Yeah.
Because I
It's
don't know what happened after I left, but
it was like a blitzkrieg. I mean, you just came like shooting through, like you said, and we're all just kind of like, huh? Like what just happened? But yeah, I mean, you're a powerful force in a tiny little hobbit-sized body.
yeah,
It
because
was,
I'm only
it
5
was,
foot.
it was remarkable. It truly was. But no, I mean, again, you have to give yourself credit because
Thank you.
there's a lot of power in you. And again, I'm not just talking about the voices in your head. I'm talking about power and grace and joy. And it's kind of oozing off you most of the time. And I would pay to watch you on the playground with these kids. I would sit in the audience or like in the stadium and cheer because I bet you just own them, because of how you carry yourself and how you present yourself.
Well, thank you. Thank
It's
you. Yeah, I do
remarkable.
not know. It's like sometimes it's like herding feral cats. You have no control over anything.
Yeah.
And yet there are some gentle souls in those feral cats, and you just kind of maneuver with those. And I had fun spring when schools went back in, and people just were getting so like, I can't believe in anything. And I had a couple kids who decided to come to and start spending time with me. And there was one time where I had my purse and I was looking for a Band-Aid. Couldn't find a Band-Aid anywhere. And then I went in my purse and then I found one. I had a girl standing next to me and she goes, "That other Band-Aid wasn't there a minute ago, was it?" I had a Band-Aid that was sticking straight up out of my purse. "It wasn't there a minute ago." I said, "Oh, that was my fairy." That's all I said. Well, for the next 3 months,
Yep.
we were learning about fairies in a very politically correct way. Like I said, you can believe in them. It's like Peter Pan. You either believe or you don't.
Yeah.
You know? And that's the thing about life is that believing. Because I know that you have been in this moment where, like the last time I was with you, the place that you were at, you were learning when we were done with our sessions that you were going to have to leave that place.
Yeah.
That within a month, you weren't too sure about the time, but you had this calmness about you.
Yeah.
And then, things were just kind of moving along. You went home, did your thing. And then here, just lately, you started feeling that sense of, well, it's time to create another space for us to be.
Yeah.
It's looking pretty cool. I'm seeing this on Facebook, these pictures, and haven't seen it personally just because it's over an hour from my house.
Yeah. We'll have to find a proper way to bribe you to come down. Yeah. It's been an interesting journey because I've always Marcel gave me a very interesting and I think amazing compliment one time, and it was about 3 years ago or so. And she basically said, one of the things I admire about you is when you need something to get done, whether it's something you need for an office or something that has to be done or whatever. She's like, you don't F around. You just do it.
Mhm.
Like you go down to Staples, you buy the bloody thing, you bring it back, you set it up, it's done, end of story, and it's like it was always there.
Mhm.
Right? So that in amidst the whole context of that whole conversation that led up to it was a great compliment. And like I told you before the show here, losing that brick and mortar was kind of brutal because we were subletting. It was always kind of shady, for lack of better words, but we had the space. I mean, LAF Tech was created there. My friendship with Marcel and business relationship was created there. I mean, it's like there's so many memories. Like you can almost watch the companies get measured on the sidewall. Like, how tall are you today, son? All those milestones were in that space. And then we had to leave. And then it was roughly 2 years until then suddenly the pandemic hit. I'm here at the home office, perfectly fine. Marcel was working at the Linwood shared co-working space. And then, like you said, I kind of started to get the feel that something needed to change. Marcel had some ups and downs at her location. And then once I started spending about 3 months looking and, want ads and properties available, etc., I finally gave up because everything was way out of the price range for any business, quite frankly.
It's amazing how prices have just...
Yeah, people are being taken advantage of. And then out of the blue, Marcel and I are tire kicking at the Mill Creek Festival. So it's August, and we're just there as people, but I'm scouting out vendors and looking at this and that. And we were stopped and interviewed for for a publication on video. And the guy afterwards comes up to me and he's like, "You're Brian, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's my name."
Don't worry about it.
I did just record me. You got the name. And I was interviewed as co-owner of LAF Tech, not as We Fix Ugly Design. And he's like, "You're the guy that fixes ugly, aren't you?" And I was like, "Oh, geez, yeah." Well, anyways, it turns out he's got a place in Mill Creek, rents through this one new building. I'm telling the story so well. Point is, he has a huge facility, and upstairs is a 1,200 square foot rectangle he's using as a closet.
Oh, jeez.
for like a couple things he has in his film studio downstairs. And I'm like,
Mhm.
he takes me on the tour of his place and makes King 5 look like a garbage bin. It's gorgeous and great stuff for real estate agents, which are his primary client. And he takes me upstairs and he's like, what do you think I should do in this space? And I was like, you should let me rent it from you.
I got an
I
idea.
mean, how crazy is that? Stars aligned, fairies dancing, whatever. I
Yeah,
was
isn't
doing
that
the
amazing?
cha-cha-cha up there. And within 48 hours, we had the handshake and the document signed, and we're there. Boom.
Wow.
Oh,
I am just in awe of the synchronicities
it's crazy.
of just the opportunities that if you just say, I'm available, let's make it work.
Yeah.
Universe out there, whatever your language is for that.
Yeah.
I just give me an opportunity. It's
Well, plus,
amazing.
plus I earned epic business partner points because I texted her. I was like, hey, Marcel, you should come look at this place. And she had no idea what she was getting into. So it's been a hoot. It really has been a joy. And we're already accepting clients there. We're already training people. We're going to do another workshop series soon. And it's so nice to be back, right? And right in the heart of Mill Creek.
I know, isn't that amazing?
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. It's a 5-minute commute.
I love that. I love that. I know that's one thing I'm loving about because the school I work at is like literally 3 minutes.
It's really close, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and then doing my other business.
Yeah.
I'm sitting at my little table in the
There
middle of
you
my
go.
spiritual room. It's just,
Love it.
opportunity is, people, it saddens me how many people slow themselves down because they don't believe in opportunity.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that you've always carried through was opportunity. And it's never going to be where we have to do the legwork for opportunity to happen. Yet at the same time, though, getting to that point where you do the legwork and then you go,
Yeah.
and then that's usually when opportunity says, I got something for you.
True. Absolutely right.
Because I can say that even just coming down and meeting with you guys, that it was like, I was kind of like going, I don't know where to go from here. I know I have this greater calling in me. I don't know where to go from here. And then you pop up in my Toastmasters group. So,
Yeah.
Life is about saying, what can I do next?
Absolutely.
Where can I meet you, life, to bring me forward? And that's what's amazing about working through life and walking through life.
Yeah.
So is there anything else that you would like to talk about? Because we're in the last, I like to close down around 5 o'clock because an hour is about good for some people because it's dinner time and that kind of thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, you mentioned you had a couple questions for me. Did you cover everything on your list?
On my list, well, if you were to start the button over
If I were to
in life,
start, but oh wow,
what would you think you'd be doing?
that's a really great question. When I grew up, I wanted to be Picasso, which really threw my parents for a curve. They're like, "What the hell?" I think I would probably. Well, I mean, it's kind of what I'm doing now, but I think I would have gone the straight up teacher route.
Mm.
Mainly because I think there's so much lacking from the empathy perspective in school nowadays, especially. So much bullying, cyberbullying, horrible forms of
Mm-hmm.
TikTok drama to things kids are being, almost damn near forced into participating in and stuff. I'd like to think that I would be that teacher that would be liked by the kids and hopefully inspire them, because really some of the biggest inspirations I've had in my past have been teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'd almost want to pay that forward with that reset button and try to model how I approached, children. Well, that sounds weird now that came out of my mouth. How I focus helping children Um, if it could even be an iota as well as they did,
Mm-hmm.
that would be a calling. So,
Okay. Well, that's the thing about life and our soul work
yeah,
is that the theme in our life, like teacher, it comes out no matter what we're faced with.
yeah, it does. Absolutely.
And you being teacher, that's the thing about you going into like the Boys and Girls Club.
Mhm.
You not being their daily teacher can almost make more impact
Yeah,
coming in, planting seeds, and then going forward.
yeah.
Because I know that's one thing that almost every kid that is coming back to me, they say, there was a moment on the playground or a moment in the hallway where you had this 3 words or 5 words that you said to me and it changed my life.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't take much to change somebody's life.
I tell people all the time that, Robert Sparks was was my teacher through high school, and every trimester we all got to go around in the gymnasium and sign up for the classes, like physically walk up to the teacher and, oh, is there room, and be able to sign up
Hmm.
for the classes. We all wanted to have to take Bob Sparks's class because he was the creative writer and English teacher, but he was also the track coach, the weightlifting coach, the football coach.
Funny how that works.
He was built like an ogre and was just like just this huge, massive man to us at that age. And he was my idol. I mean, I absolutely adored him. And when I got hurt real bad in an accident, he helped me get through that and helped me,
Mhm.
just do everything, like learn stuff from scratch, and was just a huge inspiration. And I'll never forget, during graduation, he shook my hand and said, "Son, you can call me Bob." And that was like life changing. It was no longer Mr.
Wow.
Sparks, the guy that graded pens with a Sharpie, like, huge, like for sale sign, thick Sharpie. It was just hilarious. And he said that to me, and I'll never ever forget that. And it was this moment of like, you're a man now, son. And the funniest thing about that whole thing is, thanks to social media, about 5 years ago, my high school created like the Capital High School group page for
Uh-huh.
unions and stuff. And suddenly people started posting about these stories about their favorite teachers. And one of the stories was about how one of these other damn schmucks shook Mr. Sparks's hand after graduation.
Graduation.
And he looked him in the eyes and said, "Now, son, you can finally call me Bob."
It wasn't just your story, was it?
It was his shtick. It was great, though. I still love him, but I'm still kind of pissed too. I'm like, that was hard. That was my story. And it
That was
ended up
funny.
being hundreds of kids' stories over the years. Now I'm like, oh, son of a gun. So,
But the funny thing is, though, that moment probably helped you through those
so much.
early 20s, those early 20s.
Yeah.
And it was your personal thing because you made it yours just as well as probably other people who could take that. And that's one thing that I'm noticing. Those funky late teens, early 20 years
Yeah.
are just the hardest to, my kid is now 24, so finally feeling like she's getting a breath, but
Yeah.
oh my, I'm watching some kids go through. Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I'm screwed because who knows what my kids will be forced into, by the time they get to those ages. Um,
Hey, they all survive it though, and I pray that all survive it. We
yeah.
just had a kid who locally, there's some kids that are struggling with this right now, the grief, because he ended up running his car into a tree.
Mm,
And I don't know if it was an accident.
yeah. Yeah.
And it's just, I know it wasn't, but that's another story. That we all have these things that go through, and I can tell you your kids are going to be more survivable because of you and your wife, you're the mom.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that mom and dad, if you can just give a little kid some grace, we can get through it.
Well, they know that they're loved, and they know that they're supported, and as you alluded toward, we're not together, but they're better off, and they're in a good place, whether they're at mom's place or mine. And thankfully, I feel it's thankful. We're doing distance learning still,
Hmm.
because my oldest kid, Fiona, she was a preemie, so she came into the world with some lung concerns, so we have
Hmm.
to be a little careful, not crazy, not overly protective, but we need to be careful. And
I call it honoring what's going on more
that's
than
a
fearful.
great way to
It's
put it. Yeah.
honoring.
Yeah, and even though they're both going through tough times, a new school district because of their ages and location and everything else, they're going to be okay. But they're resilient little buggers. I tell you. So they're gonna be okay. They're gonna do stupid things. They're gonna make mistakes, but all I can do is be there for them and let them know that I'm still gonna be their dad, right? I'm still gonna
Hmm.
be the silverback, but at the same time, I'm always gonna just want to hug them and squish them and let them know all the good juicy bits about being a dad to them, because they're just such
Hmm.
amazing kids.
Okay, I'm going to add a different word besides mistakes. They're
Yeah,
making flubbles.
flubbles. I like that.
Flubbles. How can you take a flubble serious? Because when we're doing something for the first time, how can we be making mistakes? We don't know what to do, so we
That's
make flubbles.
It's a
And
flubble.
those flubbles help us learn because we're rolling through it.
You need to
I
contact Webster Merriam and get that added, because that's brilliant.
Yeah, I have a student that I'm working with, and she was so hard on herself because she was English as her second language,
Sure.
and she's dyslexic.
Oh, jeez.
So with that she's
Uh,
sitting in an English speaking school, trying to keep up with school, and she's hard on herself because she's making mistakes.
oh my goodness.
And so I guess it was my intuitiveness that came up with this word, but I said, you know what? We're done making mistakes. We're making flubbles. And you can just see the weight come off of her.
Yeah. Well, plus it's a fun word. I mean, come on.
Exactly, flubble.
I kind of want to go make a flubble right now.
Well, I know in this show alone, I probably made a couple flubbles, but
Oh,
that's part of flubbles is that you just rebound with them,
yeah. Yeah.
and so your kids don't make mistakes anymore; they make flubbles. Now, if you keep doing the same thing over and over again and it doesn't work, that's a different story, and that's called you're not learning.
Oh, thick-headed, just like their father, right?
Ay, 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 ay.
That's right.
Okay. I am so grateful for this moment. I have
Me too.
missed you so much. Probably, you have many people in your life, just like I have many people in our lives. But there's this moment, when you meet somebody and you just know they're one of your life altering experiences, you just kind of go, I so enjoy you and I
I
have
feel
love
the
for you.
same way. I love you too. I really appreciate the opportunity. And if anybody wants to learn more about the crazy things that I do, um, just reach out. I'm assuming through Natasha. I don't know how
Mhm.
you publicize this thing afterwards, but
It's live on YouTube, it's live on Facebook, and it's live on Twitter.
fantastic. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yes, and
Great to see.
I know on Facebook, if you just look at the LAF Tech, that
Oh,
brings
yeah.
up that brings it up. You on Google, if you just Google in LAF Tech, that brings you up.
Yeah, either LAF Tech as it shows there, or LAF Tech NW will bring it up. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, the website, everything. And we're here to serve. People got to find their funny bone, use it for something other than just something to whack on the edge of a table.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily being the ha-ha
No,
comedian funny.
no.
It's more about being able to do the scenarios of life
Yeah, exactly.
with a little hilariousness.
Better adulting.
A better adulting. Yes, yes, yes. I love that. And it supported me in mine. So with that, if you would like to reach me, Natasha Venter, you can reach me at angeliclarifications.com. And as Brian said, that I have a different perspective on life. I I see a greater picture. And I love supporting people walking through it. And I've had people who, even this last weekend when I was doing sessions, I could say, so we got a few minutes left. Do you have any questions? They go, no, because the questions I had, you already covered through what we talked about. Because everything kind of folds in on one another. Everything folds in one another. So blessings to everyone. And please come and watch me Mondays and Wednesdays at 4:00 on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. If you would like to get some more help through, I don't know, this dance of life. So blessings to you, and have a blessing of a week. And remember, as the planets push us around and toss us around, don't take personally what other people are saying and doing, because they're going through just as much pushing and shoving around as we are. So blessings to you. Bye now. Turn off. There we go. Found the mouse.